Hello, I'm Brian, and I'm going to show you today how to take a carton from the LDS Family Food Storage Center and make it the right size for carrying your 12 quart jars. And I'll discuss it as we go along, but I want to just see here how it starts off as a, you can see there's a box of oats, comes from the storehouse. It's got 6 number 10 cans in it. And when I first started this, I thought, well, I'll go and ask them if they have any boxes. And of course, they thought, no, that would be nice, but we don't have any quart-sized boxes for your jars. So, this is the box that they have. It's the same box that the number 10 cans come in, and it holds 6 of them. But it's 18.5 inches long, it's 12.5 inches wide, and it's 7 3/8 inches tall at this part. And that's too big for 12 inches. So, I thought I was going to have to redesign the whole box. But what I found out was, I can set 3 of them right next to each other without modifying it, and I can cut it short without changing the whole box, just by making it so it's shorter and slides together, and I'll show you how to do that. So, the first thing is you can buy these boxes for 95 cents each. They come folded up, flat like this. You can buy them in stacks of 25, which is, of course, somewhere under $25. And the whole idea of doing this is because we got to wondering, you know, we've got hundreds of jars of bottled fruit and vegetables and things. What if there was an earthquake? We would lose everything. We've got them all nicely put out on shelves so you can see them and rotate them and, you know, go get them when you need them in the downstairs grocery store. But what if there was an earthquake? They would just shake themselves together, bust in 1,000 pieces and fall to the floor, and it'd be a terrible cleanup besides ruining all your fruit. So that's what started me on the journey to do this, and I found that it actually isn't very hard to do. You can see there is a long flap and a short flap, and the body is in the middle of this. So when you fold it out, of course, it makes a tube like this. You would fold them down. To make the box itself, you would fold down and you would tape it, and then you would turn it over and put your cans in it. But for our use, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take off 3 inches on the flap, the long flaps, on one side. So when you get together, get it done, you'll have this flap, this flap, this flap, and this flap shortened by 3 inches, but it won't affect these flaps. So when you get it folded down, at first you'll be missing this, but we'll show you how to fold this part down into it. It'll slide the top and bottom end flaps in and shorten the box to the right dimensions for the 12. So I'm going to lay it flat, and I told you I want to take off 3 inches of the long flaps. So it's good to have everything here to do it, and after doing this a few times I kind of have an idea. Have some pencils, more than one's nice, you don't have to keep getting up. I like to do it on the floor because I actually can hold it between my knees and help it to put it together, and it's just easier for me to do it on the floor than on a table, but you can do it anywhere you want. So I have a razor knife. And don't be afraid to put a brand new blade in there, and if it starts to get dull during what you're doing, take it out, turn it around, use the other side, and even throw it away and get a new one if you have to. It works a lot easier if you have sharp blades. So I have packing tape here, that clear tape for sealing boxes to send them places. It's always good to have a few of these around. I'll show you these in a little bit. These are the pieces I made to be dividers. But I don't have just old socks laying around. I want to show you what we've done to make it so the bottles, if they do break, they'll keep the glass in one spot. So first, I'm going to take my, and it's good to have a good rule. This is a good solid 48-inch rule, but you only need about 3 feet of it. So I want to keep it all here handy. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to take 3 inches and measure it from the end here. Just make a mark, 3 inches. That end, and this end. And rather than just cut these off and modify it, I just take and cut, and I mark it here all the way across, line it up, and make a line all the way across. Then I want to do it on this other, this one here, so it just means I have to turn that over and measure 3 inches here, and 3 inches here. Make the mark all the way across. And at this point, it's handy to go ahead and mark this part of the box. You can see the flap is here, and the body of the box is here, but I've also marked this. We're not going to cut this line, but we're going to mark it so that we can fold it down in half. This is still 3 inches. Actually, by the time you can see it's nominally, this part here gets added in, this part here. So we have to take that into consideration again. So when I measure this now, it actually is a little more than 3 inches. So I'm going to mark it in half, 1.5 inches. Well, I should do it in the middle. I don't need to do it at the ends. 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. And I'm going to mark the body of the box. So I divide that rectangle I made into halves. You'll see in a minute why that's important. And of course I've got it on this side. I'm going to do the same thing. Although it might be just as easy to go like this. It's still 3 inches, so I'm going to make it 1.5 inches. Sometimes it's 3.25 inches, depending how they make the boxes. Let's call them nominally 3 inches, within a range. But in this case it is 3 inches, and I'm going to make that line there. Mark it. I'm going to mark it across the body. Then I'm going to take my razor knife and then I'm going to turn it around so you can see how I cut this. Now, I usually wear an old pair of pants because inevitably when I cut this, I will make a glance at 1 out of 1,000 times. So I don't want to cut my leg off or hand or anything. But so that's why it's important to use a sharp knife. I'm going to go down this line, use my thumb as a guide, just slowly. I don't want to do it real fast. Go down to the body, and then I'm going to cut across this way. Or sometimes it's easier to go that way. So I've taken that one off. Just be careful, you don't have to be in a hurry. This knife will take, see there, I cut my pants again already. That's why it's good to have it out of the way. I don't want to cut my carpet through it either, so I'm going to be careful. I'm just going to take these rectangles off. There's the rectangles on one side. So I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to do it again on this side. Nice and slow, just take it easy. There you got 4 rectangles you're taking out. I'm just going to pitch them aside. You won't need them for anything. I'm going to close my blade, throw it aside, and I'm going to move back a little bit here. And now you can see that I've got, if I fold it flat, I've got it, it looks like this. And you still got the rectangle here that's divided in half. If I were to take this and fold it down, you'd see there's a missing part. What we're going to do is take this part and slide it over here. This one's going to be inside when we're done. But in order to do that, I'm going to lay it flat for a minute. And without the blade sticking out, I'm going to use this sharp edge of it. And I'm just going to go down carefully down the line. I'll change direction. So nobody likes to see it on the opposite side of what you're doing. I'm going to take this and run carefully down the line. I don't want to cut through the cardboard. I'm just making kind of a dent in it, for one thing. I'm going to do the same thing right here. I'm just going to make a kind of an impression along that line. I want that to be disposed to bend. Same thing here. Don't worry if you make a little tear. We're going to tape it too. So I've got those all prepared to bend. Now I'm going to sit back here because it's easier to work from this direction. I'm going to try to show you how to do this. So at this point, this part is going to fold down. This is going to fold into a V. And what it's going to do is end up shortening the box. Watch. Sometimes you have to work with this one. It has a tendency to make its line anywhere it wants to. See, it's a little off. You can compensate for that by just running your fingers down it to make it adjust to that line. Same thing on this part. If it doesn't fold to that line, you can adjust it. But guess what? It's not rocket science. It just has to be close. But see how now I folded that down. I'm going to go to this side. I'm going to fold that way also. This one like that. See, that one just helped itself. It did it right that. So I'm going to put this like this. Actually, I usually use this part of the bottom. It doesn't really matter which way is the bottom. But I'm going to make this the bottom. So I'm going to put that together like that. And when I get done, it's easier to push down than across. So I'm going to do this and there. Shorten by 3 inches. And I'm going to go like this. You'll have to put it together. Now comes the tricky part to hold it together. I'm just going to take a couple small pieces first. I'm going to try, that's why I sit on the floor. It's easier to use my legs and pull and everything. I'm going to try to push these together first. And make sure it's to the end here and stop. Go like that. Alright, then I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. And that will help it to hold together. Just turn it around quickly. I want to bring those together. And there. So now I've shortened the box. It doesn't really matter about these inside pieces because as you realize, a jar is round and it'll push it out of the way, whatever it needs. So I am going to come back and I'm going to put some tape all the way along this. So you know, these weigh about 35 pounds when they're full of fruit. So I'm just going to go all the way across. I'm going to try to make this strong so it can be carried. That way. Make sure you have some on the sides. Give it some more strength going around the corner there. Unless you're turning it upside down, the top doesn't need to be taped as much, but the bottom has to have a lot of tape. We're even going to tape along here. Since this is the fold area, we're going to tape those really well. So I'm going to turn around again just so you don't have to watch and imagine what I'm doing through the box. I'm going to bring it out to the right length. I'll lay it on the top here, half. I'm going to try to line this up. I might have to pull it there. I'm going to get it started, and then that seals it that way. Oops, that's a little long. Doesn't matter. I just want to get it started on here. I can come down to this end, and when I get to the end, I'll fold it over. I'll cut that little piece, and then I'll fold it all together. And then, just for the strength, because there's so much, weight in this, I'm going to tape this end. And this end. So now you've gone from the 18 inches box to a 15-inch box. It's the right size for your jars. Now you could just put them in there at this point, but and that would make them so you could carry them around. But in an earthquake, they're going to jostle. So what I have done is, of course, these are our peaches, and they're valuable because we put so much work in them. And it doesn't matter if they're wide mouth or narrow mouth, regular mouth, normal mouth, whatever they are. What we have done is made these sleeves. And as you can see, I wear white socks. Maybe you wear purple socks. It doesn't really matter. But for me, the heel normally wears out. In this case, some of the toe does too. But what we've saved these, so we have several hundred of these over the years. And we cut them across there, turned them inside out, and my dear wife sewed the seam across the top there and turned them back right side out. And you end up with a sleeve that looks like this. In some cases, it's longer than the jar, which you just fold it down. You don't necessarily want to cover the top. You could if that's your choice. We make it so you can read it. Now, when I was showing this to somebody at the food storage center, he says, well, that's a great idea, but what if the bottle breaks? Well, I said, well, if the bottle breaks, all the glass will be kept inside of this. That's great. He said, but what about if the liquid gets all over? You'll destroy everything that way. So he suggested we take bread bags. And so we've got to collecting all our bread bags. And I suggest that you take any kind of bag that's big enough is fine, but bread bags are free because after you use the bread. And what I do is I take them outside or just anywhere you don't care about where the crumbs go, and shake it, turn it inside out, get all the crumbs out. My fear would be that the mice might smell the bread, so I don't fold them up until I've had them inside out for a couple days. I just keep them out in the air so that bread smell, as good as it is, isn't attractive to the rodents. So I put it together here, and then I slide a jar in the bag. You can see it's way, way too big. It doesn't matter what kind of bag it is. This one happens to be a lot clearer, so in case you want to read the top, this one wouldn't be quite as easy. Just slide it in, grab it. Of course, they come with twist ties. Some of them have those little guitar pick type things. You can put those back on there, and then they just go like that. Also, you would want to make some dividers. Now, these dividers, guess what? They're made out of the flaps of an extra box. And what happens is you have two long ones, which you need here and here, but you need three to go this way. And guess what? You only have 1, 2, 3, 4, so you'll have an extra one. So what I have found, and I've forgotten the ratio it is, but you'll need more than one box to do 2 of these. So it comes out to like 4 boxes to do 3 of them, I think. I could be wrong. But you want to make these, and what I do is I make sure I have a really nice one. I measure it off very carefully and cut it. You could just make a cut with your blade. Just make it like that. You measure where it's going to be there and there. This is half the distance here, of course. You could just make a cut there and there, but I found they fit together easier if you just move over about 1/8 of an inch and you take that little piece out. So in other words, you need 3 of those. They slide in like this. You can put them together inside the box or outside the box. It doesn't matter. The trick is just to make sure they go all the way this way, so that because you're cutting down the halfway mark, on one's on the top and one's on the bottom. You can see this is on the top and these are on the bottom. Slots on the top, slots on the bottom, so that they go across and they mesh, and you need 3 of these. So just go ahead and put. The trick is getting to where you have a viable template. Then it's just a matter of measuring the next one by laying the pattern on the end piece or the side flap. Like that. Put it in here, lay it out, and your bottles, they'll be snug, but they're padded, remember, and you want them to be snug. So you can put them in. You see I haven't got these all in bags yet, but the bag doesn't take up much room. So this takes 12 bottles. It all seals. You can seal it up, or you can do the normal crisscross here like this if you want to open it again to check on it. I wouldn't leave my fruit unchecked for just any length of time. I would like to check them once a year at least to make sure they're okay. So put these back out of my way. So now you have a box that used to be 18 inches long, and it's the same box that's used to buy the number 10 cans in at the LDS Family Food Storage Center. And in this case, I now have a box that is, it's not exactly an atomic bomb proof, but it's a pretty robust setup. I've seen people make them out of wood, and you know, it's kind of like overkill to me. These will make a good sturdy box for 12 jars. Makes it easy to load, easy to pick up and move. They stack uniformly. I keep them on shelves just like they are instead of loosely. They're all in nice shelves, and I can put on 2 or 3 layers depending on the shelf. This weighs about 35 pounds, so it's going to be usable if you have to go out in a hurry and take it with you. This is a good way to do it. Any questions?